For $70, you can buy a Serpentine belt in a glossy box with a famous name stamped across the front. For $12, 3 shelves down, you can buy the same belt, same rubber compound, same ribs, same tensile cord running through the middle, made on the same line, in the same factory, in the same American town. The only thing that changed is the price tag and the logo on the sleeve. There are only 4 companies on the planet that build almost every accessory belt turning under almost every hood in North America. 4. And those 4 quietly fill a dozen different boxes at a dozen different prices, most of them wearing a store's name instead of their own. This video names 5 cheap belt brands the giants secretly build, and most drivers have walked right past every one of them. The 5th brand is the entire reason this video exists, because it is not a copy of the belt on your engine. It is the exact belt the factory bolted on the day that engine was born. Here is the part nobody at the counter explains. The belt spinning under your hood right now came out of one of 4 factories: Gates, Continental, Dayco, Bando. That is the whole industry. Between them, those 4 supply the belts installed on brand new cars at the assembly plant, and they supply almost everything hanging on the wall at the parts store, including the house brands that are built to look like they came from somewhere else entirely. And this is not a small part to gamble on. A Serpentine belt is one thin loop of rubber that drives your alternator, your power steering pump, your water pump, and your air conditioning all at the same time, off a single strip no wider than your hand. When it snaps, your battery stops charging. Your steering goes stiff, your engine loses its water pump and starts to overheat, and you coast to the shoulder with the whole car dying at once. A $12 belt strands you exactly as hard as a $70 belt. So the only question that actually matters is who built it, not whose name is printed on it. Because a belt brand and the factory that made the belt are 2 completely different things. One of them is marketing. The other one is the thing actually turning at 7 in the morning in the cold. And the person ringing you up has no reason to walk you through the difference before you pay. If this is the kind of thing nobody tells you in the parts aisle, subscribe, because that is exactly what every video on this channel does. The first brand is the one hiding behind the most trusted name at the counter. Walk into any NAPA store and you will find belts in NAPA's own box, labeled NAPA belts and hoses. Most people assume NAPA makes them. NAPA does not build a single belt. Those belts have been manufactured by Gates since 1958. That is not a recent supply deal. That is a relationship older than most of the mechanics installing them. And Gates is not some bit player you have to feel nervous about buying. Gates is the company that invented this entire category. It was founded in Denver in 1911. It built the first V-belt in 1917. It built the first modern tooth timing belt. And it built the Serpentine belt itself in 1979. The exact style of loop this whole video is about was Gates's idea in the first place. Today, Gates runs more than 100 locations across 30 countries, does over $3 billion a year, stamps belts out of American plants in towns like Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and stands as the largest belt maker in the entire aftermarket. So when you pick up a NAPA belt, you are holding a Gates belt with a NAPA sleeve slipped over the top, and people have caught it in the open. Line up a NAPA belt next to its matching Gates part and it is the same belt, right down to the mold marks and the numbers pressed into the back, except the NAPA sleeve can cost you nearly double. Same factory, same rubber. 2 prices. Gates has publicly called the NAPA account a relationship it has valued for more than 60 years, and it has even walked away with NAPA's own top quality award for the belts it supplies them. So the store brand here is not some cheap imitation of the premium belt sitting next to it. It is the premium belt, with a different label and a lower shelf. And if the most trusted house brand in the store is really just Gates wearing a costume, wait until you see what is sitting in the box at the chain across the street. Walk into AutoZone and the house brand is Duralast. Duralast is the name AutoZone built to feel tough, in-house, no nonsense, like something they forge in the back room. Flip the belt over. AutoZone does not even fully hide it anymore. They print it as Duralast Dayco, right there on the product, because Dayco makes them. Dayco is one of the 4. It was founded back in 1905 as the Dayton Rubber Company in Ohio. It built the first automotive cog belt. and it has been engineering belts for more than 100 years. That tough-looking store brand is a century-old belt company with a fresh sticker on it, and here is what makes it land. That same Dayco still ships belts straight to the assembly lines of major automakers, including Toyota's American operations. So the Dayco belt going onto a brand new car at the factory and the Dayco belt hiding inside a Duralast box on the shelf come out of the same house. One gets a premium reputation, the other gets treated like the budget option, same company, both times. Now cross the parking lot to Advance Auto Parts and Carquest. Same story, same supplier, and they barely bother to disguise it either. The line is sold, in plain letters, as Carquest by Dayco, and a lot of it is stamped made in the USA. So two of the biggest house belt brands in the country, sitting in two different chains, at two different price points, are the same Dayco belts. You are not choosing between brands on that wall, you are choosing between stickers. But here is where it stops being about store brands and gets genuinely bigger. For decades, one of the most respected belts a driver could buy was the Goodyear Gatorback. Enthusiasts swore by it, that distinctive toothed back, the reputation for running quiet and outlasting whatever it replaced. People still walk into stores today and ask for a Gatorback by name. Here is the thing, Goodyear does not make it. Goodyear does not make automotive belts at all anymore, not one. Goodyear sold off its entire engineered products division, and after the business changed hands, the German giant Continental bought the whole operation for $1.9 billion, taking over on January 31, 2015. Continental is not a small name either. It is a German company that has been in rubber for more than 140 years. And when it swallowed that division, it took in dozens of plants and thousands of workers along with the Gatorback. It kept the exact tooth design, added its own quiet running technology, and relaunched the belt under a new name, Continental Elite. The man running the brand in North America promised customers that the products and the people they trusted were not changing, only the label on the box was. So today, you cannot buy a Goodyear-made belt anywhere on Earth. The Gatorback name lives on only in the memory of the guys still asking for it, while the belt itself lives on as a Continental. The driver hunting online for a discontinued Gatorback and the driver grabbing a cheap Continental Elite off the shelf are reaching for the identical belt, and one of them is convinced he is settling for less. Now count what we have. NAPA is Gates, the Gatorback that vanished is Continental Elite, and the Duralast at AutoZone and the Carquest at Advance are both Dayco. 4 of the 5 so-called cheap brands trace back to just 3 of the 4 giants. A dozen boxes on that wall, a handful of factories behind all of them, and the consolidation is almost total, which raises the obvious question. If the cheap brands are secretly the giants in disguise, is there one belt you can buy cheap that is not a rebadge and not a downgrade, but the literal factory belt, the exact one bolted onto your engine before it ever left the assembly line? There is, and almost nobody buys it for the dumbest reason imaginable. The 5th brand is Bando, and most drivers scroll right past it because the name means nothing to them and the price looks too low to take seriously. It is dead serious. Bando is Japanese, founded in 1906, and it calls itself the 3rd largest drive belt manufacturer in the world. But here is the part that actually matters. Bando has been building accessory belts in Bowling Green, Kentucky since 1988 on American soil, and Bando is the original equipment belt on more than 80% of the 10 best-selling vehicles in the United States. Read that again. When the automaker builds the car and reaches for a belt to install at the plant on most of the best-selling vehicles in the country, that belt is a Bando, which means the cheap Bando belt on the shelf is not an imitation of the factory belt. It is the factory belt, and Bando says it flat out. It builds one line of belts for the automakers and for you. The exact same belt the manufacturer specifies and installs is the one you carry home from the store. No secret premium version held back for the assembly line. One belt. And to hit the tolerances the automakers demand, Bando grinds the ribs on that belt twice, so it seats into your pulleys with a precision the cheap molded belts around it simply cannot match. And the reason it stays cheap is not that it is worse. It is that Bando never built a consumer brand. It never had to. It sells to the automakers, so it never spent a dime teaching you to recognize its name the way the famous brands did. So it sits on that shelf beside belts that cost more and do less, and buyers walk right past it toward a logo they recognize, paying extra for the privilege of getting a belt that is, at best, exactly as good. Now, one honest caveat, because it matters and because nobody else in this aisle will say it out loud. Not every cheap belt is automatically the premium belt. Even inside these same 4 factories, there are tiers. There is a top belt made of modern EPDM rubber that wears down slowly like a tire tread and can run 100,000 miles. And there is an economy belt that might still use older neoprene that cracks and quits somewhere around 50 to 60,000. The plan is the same. The rubber is not. The better belts also run stronger cord inside them, aramid instead of plain polyester, so they stretch less and hold their tension far longer. And the same brand, the same part number can even come off a different line in a different country. So the move was never to blindly grab the cheapest thing on the peg. The move is to understand that the name on the box was never the thing you were paying for. The factory is 4 factories: Gates, Continental, Dayco, and Bando. NAPA is Gates. Duralast is Dayco. Carquest is Dayco. The Gatorback everyone still asked for is now Continental Elite. And Bando is the factory belt itself, hiding in plain sight under a name almost nobody bothered to learn. The $70 box and the $12 box were never really 2 different belts. They were 2 different stories told about the same loop of rubber, so here is what to carry to the counter next time. On that wall, you are almost never choosing between a good belt and a bad belt. You are choosing between the same tiny circle of factories, dressed up in different names at different prices, and once you know the 4 that actually build them, you stop paying for the logo and start paying for the belt. And it does not stop at belts. Once your eyes adjust to it, that same short list of factories hiding behind a dozen brand names starts showing up all over that store, in the filters, the hoses, the plugs, the pads. The parts aisle is full of costumes. The part that leaves you stranded on the shoulder when it fails does not care which one is on the sleeve. Neither should you. If this changed the way you look at that aisle, hit subscribe, because every video on this channel peels the label off something you thought you already understood. Now go check the belt on your own engine before it decides to check itself on the side of the road.